Thank God that's over. Boy, let's see. Tonight was the 73rd annual frickin' Golden Globes. My internet's pretty slow, so I'm gonna load up the winners here just so I can look at them if I forget. This has been one of the most painful experiences of my life. I think this is as far as my award predicting and stuff goes. This is among the worst I've ever performed. Where I've given predictions beforehand and then said, okay, you know, this is what happens. So this retrospective, I don't know how to start other than this is the most times in the space of 3 hours I've ever said shit, god damn it, son of a bitch, in a row. Seriously, I've never been this wrong in a major award show. Like even last year at the Golden Globes, and the Globes, I probably among the Emmys and a couple other recent award shows have been the hardest to predict. And last year I got half of them right on the film side. I won't even tell you what happened on the TV side. I can't explain half the stuff on the TV side. Well, number one, because I don't see much TV stuff, if any. And then number two, because from what and I listened to a few different voices here and there as far as who will win, who could win, and more than half the time it's the people that they say don't bet on them that end up winning. So, yeah. Okay. Where do we start here? I guess with The Revenant winning Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actor. Boy, I did not see this one coming. I thought and if you watch my video from yesterday, technically now, well today, whatever, I recorded it at like 12:30 at night, whatever. Um, I did say The Revenant had a shot at winning for director. Alejandro Iñárritu did, and I said for sure count on Leo, and he did win. So that's one of six things I got right. Seriously, I only got six of these film categories right. Um, and I got Brie Larson right. I got Matt Damon right. I got Sylvester Stallone right. I got Inside Out right, and I got Son of Saul right for foreign film. Everything else I missed, and some of them I missed big time. Like Steve Jobs, I had that in second or third. I had Iñárritu in second. I had Kate Winslet way down there. I thought Helen Mirren had a better shot than she did. I had Jennifer Lawrence in second, and I had The Martian in second. I think The Revenant was third for me, third or fourth maybe. But I had Spotlight winning that. So just a rundown here of stuff. Spotlight went home empty-handed. It had 3 nominations. All three of them lost. Carol had 5 nominations, the most nominations at the Globes, and it lost all of them. All 5 times it went down without a fight. Mad Max only had 2 nominations, lost them both. And those are on the drama side. Picture side, we had The Big Short, had 4 nominations also. And I think at the Oscars is going to be a bigger player than Carol. Lost all of the races. Spy lost 2 of the races it was in. Trainwreck did the same. The Martian had 2 big wins. Joy had 1 big win. And then on the drama side, we did have Room have that big win for actress drama, but that was I think the actresses, or sorry, the what am I saying? The drama races were the 2 easiest ones to predict. And then Matt Damon was pretty easy, and then I thought Stallone was not a slam dunk, but certainly he was a likelier choice than say a Mark Rylance, who maybe some of the voters hadn't heard of, or Idris Elba, who they've already awarded in the past, and Stallone has been around the block quite a few times. Anyways, yeah, so the first award of the night was for Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs, and right away I said this has to be like her 4th win, right? And it is. She has won 4 times. Once for television, 2 on the same night for The Reader and Revolutionary Road, and now this 4th one for Steve Jobs. Boy, I'm thinking come Oscar time this Thursday, I think she's nominated no matter what. Unless this would be among the biggest snubs probably in Oscar history if she were to miss out on Thursday morning. I don't think she does. But if Rooney Mara and Vikander both end up in lead, or if just Rooney Mara ends up in lead and misses out and Vikander misses out on the Danish Girl, especially. Boy, I think Winslet will win this in a cakewalk. Even if Vikander gets in for Ex Machina, which I'm not predicting yet, but this is the closest I've come to predicting her in supporting. I'm still thinking Vikander only gets in for the Danish Girl, whether that be lead or supporting. I don't. Yeah, even with a PGA nomination, I don't see much love elsewhere for Ex Machina except at BAFTA now. But that might be too little, too late. We have seen that before, where we've had these close races. Like last year, Jake Gyllenhaal got in for BAFTA for Best Actor, and he got in everywhere else. Critics' Choice, here at the Globes, at SAG, and he still missed at the Oscars. And Nightcrawler was a PGA nominee, so that could be this year's Elisa Vikander for Ex Machina. But she did miss out at SAG though for this performance. And I don't recall her getting in for Critics' Choice. I could be wrong about that. Let's see here. That was the first big of the big film awards. Here was hers. And if Rooney Mara still ends up in supporting, which I'm still predicting, and I think is the more likely, I think Vikander getting in for lead for the Danish Girl is a little more likely than Rooney Mara getting in for Carol. But I think it'll be close. I think it'll be close, and it'll be just a few votes that'll count in one way or the other how she ends up. But still, if Mara gets into supporting, I think she'll have the race. She's had the buzz on her since Cannes in May, and that's a long stretch of time. And since then, really only Kate Winslet and Vikander have challenged her and have come close. Winslet, this is the closest I think she's come. So we'll have to see what happens with nominations. What was the next one? Score, I think, came up next, and that went to Morricone for Hateful Eight. I should have seen this one coming, but I didn't. I had Carol to win because I thought, you know what, Carol has 5 nominations. I don't think it goes home empty-handed. It did. I thought the same thing with Spotlight. I had it in for screenplay, and I had it in for picture. Went home empty-handed. Yeah. And then we also saw The Danish Girl went home empty-handed. That had 3 nominations. What else? I think everything else here that was big had only 1 nomination here. Youth had 2. That went home empty-handed, but we could more or less see that coming. That was Morricone. I should have seen it coming. It's a vote for Harvey. It's the only vote actually Harvey got throughout the whole night for Weinstein Company. And so that's a score is not a big vote, I don't think, despite what people will say. Okay, what was next? Screenplay, I think it was that or animated, one or the other. But that was Inside Out for animated, no problem there. It'll go on to the Oscars. Whether or not it gets into Best Picture, I still have it in for Best Picture in the 10th slot because I do think that those animated members of the Academy and the animation branch, I don't see all of, I can see a lot of them, maybe 3/4 of the hundreds of people in the branch. It's a growing branch. Certainly has more members in it now than it did back in 2001 or 2 when they started the animated feature category. I think it's probably doubled or tripled in size, actually. I can see almost all of them, if not all of them, putting Inside Out in the top probably 5. They only vote on 5 on the preferential ballot to get into the Oscars. I can see almost all of the animated branch putting it in the top 5. Certainly, I would think 1/4 of them minimum would put it in the top 5 somewhere. And so that would knock out like Straight Outta Compton, Star Wars, Hateful Eight, stuff like that are close to getting in, but we're not counting on yet. Foreign language film with Son of Saul, no problem there. I think this will be our Oscar winner, unless something else comes up and it misses out, because it did miss out at BAFTA, so we can't count that out entirely. Original song went to Writings on the Wall from Spectre. I didn't think this would happen. I had this again in like 3rd or 4th place. I was thinking I was wrong right away when the category came up, because One Kind of Love, the film I was going for, was Love and Mercy to win this. That was my pick. didn't get, you can usually, by the time we get to these award shows, when they display all the nominees there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can measure more or less by the applause how well liked the nominee or the film is, And in this case, One Kind of Love got like a couple snatters of applause. See You Again, the Furious 7 song, got tons of applause. Writings on the Wall got quite a bit of applause too. And so yeah, um, I don't know if this will go on to win the Oscar though. It would only be the second Bond film second Bond title song, I should say, to win. And but then Sam Smith, one of the biggest well, maybe not up and coming, sorry, in the past 2 or 3 years since Skyfall, definitely Sam Smith is among the top artists who have risen up to become on the level that Adele was when she won for Skyfall. So. Yeah, I can. It's a potential, but I don't have it winning yet. Screenplay was one of the next big ones. That went to Aaron Sorkin for Steve Jobs. Again, I didn't see this coming. I thought, especially since Steve Jobs had no picture nomination, I was thinking if and I did have it in second place because I did think if they were gonna say, okay, you're not going home empty-handed, Steve Jobs, here's something, I would have thought screenplay, but then I thought Spotlight, winning picture would be a big bellwether for that, and I was actually a lot more worried for The Big Short to win, because I could just feel it in the atmosphere in that room, especially among the nominees, not necessarily the members who were voting for the awards, there that we usually see on the in front of the stage there. Not the Hateful Eight. Sorry, The Big Short got tons of applause whenever it was up for a nomination. So yeah, I'm thinking at Oscars this could overperform on Oscar morning. We could. I think I'm betting on Adam McKay now to get in for director. I have it in the lead for the moment to win adapted screenplay. I could switch back to Steve Jobs and Aaron Sorkin. I could. Not yet, but this definitely shows it's still got staying power, despite not being a huge box office hit, despite really falling out of the Best Picture race. And yeah, The Big Short, man, this could be a big player at the end of the day when we come to who's gonna with the final predictions on Oscars. It could be a big player potentially. And I definitely think with the support it's getting now from the guilds and stuff, this doesn't go home empty-handed on Oscar night. I think editing and screenplay are big bets to put on now. Christian Bale has a long road ahead of him to win. I think the picture has a little bit of it has a lot to come over first, and not winning here at the Globes is a big road stop here. And it had 4 nominations, more nominations than The Martian had, more than Trainwreck, more than Joy, more than Spy. It had the most nominations of the category for picture comedy or musical, and it got skunked. And I did predict it to lose actor comedy because Bale and Carell kind of cross each other out. The same happened on the drama side with Blanchett and Mara for Carol. And I think those are easier to predict than something like this. But yeah. But yeah, I think the vote here for Steve Jobs is a strong one. I think this could definitely propel it back into the race big time in this category. And Kate Winslet too. But I don't know if it has it in it now. I mean, as far as I know, the ballots were due this last Friday, maybe. I might be wrong on the date. Maybe they're not due till tomorrow. I can't remember. But I think everybody has voted at this point, and especially if it's going to get in for picture and a couple other awards that it's close to, maybe like film editing or anything else there below the line. I think its time has come and passed, and I don't think it'll do extremely well on Oscar morning. I don't think it'll be in the Best Picture nominees. Okay, let's see here. Damon was an earlier one. He won easily. Yeah, I think he's in. He's in for sure on Oscar morning. It'll be another one of those big time snubs if he's not. Stallone was another. Well, that was kind of toward the middle of the awards. And yeah, his win definitely shows that he's still got legs in this race, and I think he's in. And I still have him in to win, but I could definitely see somebody like Mark Rylance or Idris Elba taking over, especially since SAG and BAFTA did not nominate him. So I definitely, if Rylance wins both BAFTA and SAG, and I have him winning for SAG, I don't know if I have him winning for BAFTA or not. He could potentially lose BAFTA, despite being a huge, a British actor and all that. He's gonna have Stallone is really gonna have to campaign hard to get this. Okay, let's see here. Let's go up to the. They took care of Jennifer Lawrence next, I think. If my timeline's off, that's all right. Boy, I did have Lawrence winning this up till about 4 or 5 days ago, and then I kind of thought about it and I said, well, and I listed off the reasons in the other video. Amy Schumer had a hell of a year. Emmy win, big box office hit with Trainwreck. She's really on everybody's radar now. Like I said, her television show has probably doubled or maybe tripled in its audience members and viewer rates. So she's had a hell of a strong year, and I thought they would award her. And plus, one of the big things we always say, well, not always, but that we'll say is sometimes the Globes, when they pick their winners, they just want somebody on stage who will give a great speech and who they want to be on their stage because they're a huge superstar. That could potentially explain why Lady Gaga won on the TV side, but anyways. Yeah, I was thinking for sure they would put Schumer up there. But no, this means Jennifer Lawrence has won 3 Golden Globes in the space of 4 years. That's unbelievable. And that means that also that she's been nominated 4 times in the space of 6 years, with Winter's Bone in 2010. So, and I think she's still in for the Oscar, despite missing out at BAFTA and SAG. Those are kind of explainable because maybe the British didn't appeal to Joy, and the screeners were kind of late going out for Joy over on the SAG side. But I think this win especially kind of helps. But at the same time, I will say, Amy Adams won this last year for Big Eyes, and she didn't get in. She didn't get in. But yeah, I'm still thinking Lawrence will get in. I mean, she's a huge superstar, anyways. Plus, and the performance is, for me especially, the best part of the movie. And I thought the rest of the movie was actually kind of bad. So, sorry, David O. Russell. Better luck next time. Okay, then the director race. Iñárritu wins. I had him in second place. I didn't die and fall over a shock when he won, but I was especially thinking with Ridley Scott. I mean, that's your veteran vote. Never won a Globe, been nominated 2 or 3 other times, and The Martian was a huge threat to win picture comedy, even though I wasn't predicting it, and it did win. Damn it. Anyway, so but yeah, I'm thinking if he would have won this could have started something big. I think DGA would have been next. BAFTA, he's a nominee at BAFTA, and Critics' Choice too would have been a huge bellwether. I don't know if we're gonna go on the Iñárritu train again though for this year because The Revenant, I have seen it. Uh, the thing with The Revenant is it is 2.5 hours long. It's mostly a showcase for Leo and for Emmanuel Lubezki, the cinematographer. It doesn't have that strong a story. Um, I don't think it will be a nominee in the screenplay race, and it'll be what was the last one? Titanic, maybe. I'm trying to think. Shoot, what was? Trying to think. What was the last film not to be nominated for a screenplay Oscar that won Best Picture? Because Gravity didn't get in, and that kind of helped us show that it wasn't going to be an obvious winner for Best Picture, and it did lose. I think it Titanic was the last one because Lord of the Rings got in and it won screenplay. Um, Unless it's an obvious one I'm not thinking of. I think Crash got into screenplay too and it won screenplay. So boy, yeah, it's maybe it was Million Dollar Baby. I'll have to double check that, but yeah, it's been a while since we've seen a film get in and win for picture without a screenplay nomination. And I think most of the explanation here for Inarritu winning is Birdman lost here in director and picture last year, so that means Inarritu only got up on the stage for screenplay for Birdman last year. This might have been a makeup award. Um, and that might be the same thing with their thoughts on picture. Then again, maybe they just like The Revenant better than Spotlight, or better than Martian in the case of director. I was definitely thinking George Miller was a big threat here too, but yeah, Mad Max went home empty-handed, so. And then I thought maybe Todd Haynes had a small outside shot, but nope, no dice. Okay, drama races were next. These were two of the easier races of the night, with Brie Larson winning for Room and Leo winning for The Revenant. And I think those two are our Oscar winners. I think Brie Larson, like I said, might have a misstep here or there. Room did overperform at SAG, so I think she wins there. But it did kind of underperform a little bit at BAFTA, with only screenplay and her, Brie Larson, being the only two nominees for the film, as I recall. So, if it had gotten in for a director or a picture, or it did get a screenplay. I think I said that, but anyways, if it had gotten in for, say, maybe a technical nomination here or there, like an editing or a production design, maybe something weird, then it would have had I think Brie would be a very nice potential winner there at BAFTA. But since it had a little bit of an underperformance there at BAFTA, and since it is off the PGA list for nominees for film, we could see some cracks in her armor at BAFTA, and that's where somebody like Saoirse Ronan could take over and win that. Cate Blanchett could win that. Charlotte Rampling wasn't nominated, but I don't think they'll go for Vikander either. And that might be her one misstep. And the BAFTA did get it wrong the year of Silver Linings Playbook with Jennifer Lawrence. They gave it to Emmanuel Riva for Amour, and they've been wrong before. Like The Fighter didn't have Christian Bale, as I recall, or Melissa Leo. I don't think either. They got those wrong. Matthew McConaughey and I can't think of his name. Jared Leto both missed out at BAFTA for Dallas Buyers Club. So you can do okay at the Oscars and win without a BAFTA win or without even a nomination. So, but I still think with that SAG and Golden Globe, and she'll probably win Critics' Choice too, that'll be enough for Brie to win. And Leo, I don't see anybody tripping him up. He'll have SAG, I think. He'll have Critics' Choice, with the exception maybe of Critics' Choice, because maybe we could see an outside shot for like a Fassbender or Bryan Cranston there at Critics' Choice. But BAFTA, clearly, I think will go with him, and because The Revenant was among the most nominated films there. I don't think there's much stopping him in the way of winning the Oscar. Okay, then we got to the Best Picture races. The Martian winning here, again, something until about 4 or 5 days ago, until really the PGA nominee list came out, and the Big Short Love Train, really, if you want to have a joke, because Love Train, the song, was in The Martian. But anyways, the Love Train that has been taking off big time for The Big Short, really started, I think, with not really the Golden Globes, with like the Guild nominations coming out and Critics' Choice and stuff like that. It did overperform here, though, at the Globes, getting into 4 races. We thought maybe 2 or 3. Like the screenplay race here, nomination here was a big sign that it was a favorite of the voters. As it turns out, The Martian, despite the controversy, despite everybody not everybody, sorry, despite some people in HFPA saying, "Nah, we don't think it's a comedy," I would have thought immediately that means they're not going to vote for it. They're going to go for something like The Big Short or maybe Trainwreck. They'll go somewhere else, and it would be just enough to push it. But I guess the people who loved The Martian loved it enough, and it got through. I think this bodes very, very well for The Martian actually going forward, because not only with maybe a little bump up in the Best Picture race, I think with Ridley Scott too, surprisingly, even though he lost here to Inarritu, I think if he wins Critics' Choice, if he wins the DGA, Ridley Scott, I think we can call the race over and he's going to win the Oscar. and he could win BAFTA. He might slip at BAFTA with Martian not getting in for film. But Critics' Choice, if they, and especially DGA, if they get on his bandwagon, that train ain't stopping. It's going to crash through the Oscars, and he's going to win. Because he did have a magnificent speech here tonight when Martian won. He got a chance to get on stage, and that, thank God for that, because if not, he could have, all of his momentum could have stopped dead tonight. And somebody like Inarritu, or maybe even somebody like Adam McKay down the road, could start up again. If they especially if McKay gets in for DGA and at Oscar, he could miss. But anyways, but yeah, especially when he was saying "screw you" to the guy who was telling him to hurry up, that was excellent, because really, this is the only time that he's gone on to the stage there at the Beverly Hilton Hotel, or wherever it's held. I forget where it's held. That's the only time he's gotten on that stage ever. And you have to think about it too. It should have been him winning director, because tonight they gave Denzel Washington his Cecil B. DeMille Award for lifetime achievements or whatever. Anyways, you think about it. There's been quite a few films with not just Ridley Scott, but also with his brother Tony, who tragically passed away a few years ago. Denzel owes not a lot, but a few of his big successes to the Scott brothers. And like Crimson Tide was Tony Scott. American Gangster was directed by Ridley Scott. I think they've produced a couple of the films he starred in as well. So yeah, I'm thinking it was a good night for Ridley Scott either way, if he was going to win or not, because even if The Martian had lost picture comedy to Big Short and he had one director, he would have done a similar thing, because he named off everybody he could think of to thank, and he did prattle on a little bit, and he had a long list there of notes to go through. But I think that's a big sign, hopefully, that, and I hope to God everybody at Critics' Choice, BAFTA, DGA, anybody there, I hope they were listening, because he truly, that was one of the better speeches of the night. And it was also a great moment to capitalize on his success just in his career in total. And yeah, so good on to Ridley Scott. And seriously, I think this pushes him into the best director race even further. But I do think Inarritu still could potentially upset him at the Oscars. Still, it's a possibility. And Inarritu, and I didn't listen too strongly to his speech, because I was kind of talking with somebody else trying to discuss what was going on, what the hell's going on throughout this night. But from the sounds of it, I think he had a good speech, and and he didn't hog the microphone when The Revenant won for picture drama. He gave his producers a good chance to speak. So yeah. Speaking of The Revenant winning picture, get this: the producers on The Revenant, two of the producers that were up there with him when it won, because he is a producer on Revenant as well. Two of those producers won for 12 Years a Slave 2 years ago, and for Birdman 2 years ago at the Oscars. So that's gigantic. I think 3 in a row might be a stretch. So, but still, giving him a chance to speak was great. And Inarritu, I can see him maybe coming back and winning this. I have had him in second place to win director for a long time, because I mean, you're not, besides maybe Mad Max. Some will argue for Spotlight. Some might argue for Carol. Some will argue for The Martian. Really, when it comes to directorial achievements this year in film, I have not seen any more impressive than The Revenant, for me personally. Because and last year when he won for Birdman, I was like, I can see it, but I thought personally that maybe Linklater should have won, for doing a film 12 years, going back and shooting, once every 12 years, or once for 12 years in a row. Sorry, like 1 week out of the year for 12 years. That's what I meant to say. And for nothing to catastrophically go wrong, not for your funding to run out, not for any of your main actors to quit or die, not to have to fire any of them. The kid could have easily said, I'm not interested anymore. His daughter, who was in the film too, could have said, I'm not interested anymore. He could have just, maybe other projects could have consumed him, and he wouldn't have time to do it. Time constraints could have, and he still delivered one of the best films of the year. Yeah, that's something I think Inarritu, might have. Yeah, he might have equal success. He might have better success. He might have less success with that. So, but I have not seen any other really other than the Up series, which I haven't seen exclusively. But I don't. No other films really do that. So, anyways. So yeah, so The Revenant winning here. I don't know if it's necessarily now a front runner to win Best Picture, but definitely I think Spotlight really weakened here. This cut deep, man, into Spotlight's wagon here. Now, if it loses, say, Critics' Choice, I think it's 2 weeks from now or a week from now, whenever it is. I think it's a week from now. If it loses Critics' Choice, I think the Spotlight bandwagon is gonna come to a screeching halt. It might pick up again because I do think, regardless of what happens otherwise throughout the season, I think Spotlight will win that SAG Ensemble Award. I mean, no, I don't think anything can take it down, not even The Big Short. Unless we see Big Short win at Critics' Choice, which I don't know. There's a few good alternatives there. And then another thing to keep in mind too, Critics' Choice went with Boyhood and Linklater last year. They did not go with Inarritu and Birdman. They might do the same thing this year with The Revenant. They might that the Globes did. They might make up for it. So yeah, I'm thinking on this that Spotlight is waning big time in this race now. It's going to have to not only win Critics' Choice, I think it's going to have to win either PGA or DGA. Or BAFTA, which I don't know about BAFTA. It's got the same number of nominations at BAFTA that it does here at the Globes, and it's gonna be hard. Plus, think about it too. BAFTA did not give Inarritu or Birdman picture last year or director. They might do the same thing with The Revenant and with Inarritu for director. Yeah, this is getting nuts now. So I'm still gonna stick for the moment with Spotlight to win picture. But a few weeks ago when I said The Revenant is now my pick for picture, and then I dumped it after like a week, I might have been onto something. Because that being said, I never predicted Birdman to win picture until after DGA last year. I had Boyhood from August till early February or late January, whenever DGA was, and I had Joy from August to mid-December or so, and that's not happening anymore. So so that means I have not been on the Spotlight wagon for more than a month, but I might, especially if Critics' Choice goes anywhere else other than Spotlight, and especially if it loses that SAG Ensemble Award. It's done, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it can bounce back in any capacity after that. Even if McCarthy, if he gets into DGA, even if he wins DGA, which I don't see happening right now, especially after tonight, I should say. I don't. If Spotlight loses that SAG, if it can win anywhere, it's at SAG. If it loses there for Ensemble, it's done. All of its momentum is gonna just freaking die. Nothing is going to happen. Something else is going to take over, and I don't know if we're going to see it resurge at all after that. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Let's talk just a tiny bit about the show, some highlights. I thought Tom Hanks' speech about Denzel I thought was awesome. I thought the interplay between Ricky Gervais and Mel Gibson was hilarious. Even up to the closing credits, it was good. Gervais, he kind of flatlined sometimes. He had a couple of good one-liners. The thing about I have to go back to the Mel Gibson thing. His line about "I would rather have a drink with Mel Gibson than Bill Cosby" was a great line. And what the F is sugar tits or something like whatever that deleted and bleeped out question he was posing to Gibson was hysterical. It went over really well. But yeah, I think his monologue was pretty meh. The rest, some of his introductions were pretty meh. So I don't know, and looking back on some of Gervais's other stuff, he's done okay, at the Globes. Especially the first year, I thought he was on fire. That second and third year, he kind of, it was okay. And this year, it was okay. But yeah, we'll have to see going forward here. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed some of the speeches. Some of the TV speeches, especially for the Crazy Ex-Girlfriend win, whoever that actress was. I had her in fifth place to win. Not that I was extremely confident on anything, my predictions at the TV side. Her speech was just histrionic and just really overdone. I was like, really? I can see why the show's called Crazy Ex-Girlfriend. I can see why she was cast. Sorry if you're watching this, I doubt it. But anyways, yeah, I don't know what about Gervais coming back again. I think he did all right. I think if he hosts again, I'm sure he'll do all right again. But um, anyways, but yeah, I'm kind of it's getting into that head scratching thing now. With the Best Picture Oscar, especially if Spotlight can't do well at SAG, I think it's done. If I think Critics' Choice would be a good bandwagon for it to get on. Revenant could win there. Martian could win there. Big Short maybe. I can see even Room or Brooklyn or something else big doing well there. Maybe not. Maybe not taking everything, but certainly overperforming on the day of the ceremony. So yeah, that's all I've got to say about that. Screw you, Globes. Thank God you're over. I did royally terrible tonight, so here's hoping for better luck next year, and that hopefully we have good luck going into Oscar nominations on Thursday. I'm gonna do. I'll probably film it on Tuesday, upload it by Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere in there. My final predictions for Oscars, and it'll have to be after DGA because after DGA comes out, that's gonna be a big bellwether. We'll see with DGA. I do have George Miller in there. I have. I need to look this up quick, but I think I have Adam McKay in there now. I think I have him. Like I said, I have him in the directing race for the Oscars too. If he misses on Tuesday, I might pull him out in favor of say like a Lenny Abrahamson for Room, because I do think we're in that way we were 3 years ago with 2012 when we had so many potential Best Director nominees that it was like we didn't know that they were going to pick as many left field choices as they did. Hanukkah for Amour, Zeitlin for Beasts of the Southern Wild. I mean, they were way out to lunch, and we had and then David O. Russell was on the bubble, so his vote actually made me go nice when the day of nominations that year. I think we're in that way this year. I mean, there are so many potential nominees for director, and whittling it down to 5 is going to be hard. So yeah, I think especially with Miller missing out at BAFTA for director, which I was thinking maybe if Mad Max was going to underperform at BAFTA, it would have been it misses out for film but still gets in for director. It didn't get into either. So yeah, not to say that Mad Max's support is going to fall off, because I definitely think it's still getting in for picture. I'm questionable about getting in for director, but I have been from the start. And yeah, so we'll have to see at DGA what happens, and then I'll make my final Oscar predictions for who's going to get in. And yeah, and we'll see where it goes from there. Hopefully, I'll be coming out with that in the next few days. So until after DGA, I'll have my final picks. So screw you, Globes.